Your shift begins at the Arctic Research Station, where the radar screen is your constant companion in the ice. You enter the control room, the air still cool from the overnight radio silence. Your coat is essential here, layered over the station uniform for warmth during long radio checks. You put on your coat, ready to monitor the radio for any incoming transmissions from the team. You tune the radio to the standard frequency, hearing only static from the empty Arctic channels. The radar screen shows routine data, a grid of blips that you'll log systematically over the next hour. You open the radar log file on the computer, noting the last entry was 3 hours ago by the night shift. You hear Station Chief Anya's voice on the radio, confirming that all systems are operational for your shift. Outside, the radar antenna stands tall, its dish collecting data through the falling snow and ice. You check the shift log, seeing that Technician Leo reported a minor radio glitch yesterday at 1400 hours. You fine-tune the radio volume, ensuring clear reception for any emergency calls from the field team. Your notebook is filled with previous entries, each line documenting radio checks and radar data points. You verify that the radar screen matches the computer log, noting no discrepancies in the last 12 readings. You test the radio by calling Station Chief Anya, who replies promptly with a status update on the weather. The station is active, with crew members like researcher Maria moving through the halls for their own radio duties. You record your arrival at 0800 hours in the shift log, marking the start of your radio monitoring routine. You review the antenna status report, confirming it's operating at full capacity for radio transmissions. Snow continues to fall outside, coating the station structures, but the radar system remains unaffected. You set up your notebook for today's radar checks, ready to document every radio signal and data point. You start the radar check procedure, focusing on the screen for any anomalies in the radio frequency bands. You ensure your coat is properly fastened and settled before beginning the detailed radio frequency monitoring for your entire shift duration. The radio system hums steadily with blinking lights, showing stable connections for all station-wide communication needs throughout the day. You cross-reference the weather log with current radar readings to identify any atmospheric interference that could affect radio signal clarity. You jot down the first entry in your notebook, recording the time and initial radio signal strength at 0805 hours. The shift log displays Technician Leo's note about a minor radio glitch yesterday, which you will monitor closely during your shift. You test the radio with a brief call to Station Chief Anya, who confirms that all systems are operational and ready for use. You review the antenna status report again, verifying it is optimized for both radar data collection and clear radio transmissions. Outside, snow continues to fall gently, coating the station structures, but the radar tower remains unaffected and functional. You configure the data logging software on the computer to track radar and radio signals continuously throughout your shift. You record in the shift log that all initial radio and radar checks are complete, marking the start of the main monitoring procedure. Now you begin the systematic radar check to monitor for any anomalies in the data collected by the station. You start the radar check by observing the screen closely for any unusual blips that could indicate radio interference or anomalies. Your gloves are positioned on the keyboard, prepared to log any anomalies you detect during the systematic radar sweep process. You verify that the current radar data matches the computer log, noting no discrepancies in the readings over the past 15 minutes. You document a radar frequency of 2.4 GHz in your notebook, which is within the normal operational range for station radio systems. The radio handset sits ready on its cradle, the standby light glowing, awaiting any emergency calls from the field team members. You fine-tune the radar settings to focus on a potential anomaly, ensuring that radio communications remain clear and uninterrupted. You update the shift log at 0830 hours, marking that the radar check is proceeding smoothly without any issues detected. You radio researcher Maria to confirm a radar reading, and she reports matching data from her station, ensuring consistency. You proceed with the radar check, monitoring the screen for another 30 minutes as part of the routine systematic procedure. You detect a small discrepancy in the radar data, requiring a detailed verification with the computer logs. Your notebook is ready for documenting any corrections or new findings from the ongoing radar check procedure. You consult the weather log to confirm that atmospheric conditions are not causing the observed radar anomaly. You recalibrate the radar settings to correct the minor error, ensuring accurate data collection for station monitoring. The radio emits soft static, a constant background in the control room as you work through the data verification process. You note the corrected radar frequency in your notebook, updating the entry to reflect the accurate measurement from recalibration. You radio technician Alex to verify the radar calibration, and he confirms the adjustments from his monitoring station. You log the correction in the radar log at 0900 hours, marking the resolution of the data discrepancy found earlier. The radar screen now displays consistent data, with blips moving predictably, indicating the correction was successful. You resume the systematic check, monitoring for any further anomalies or mistakes in the radar feed over the next period. You cross-reference the radar data with the station note, ensuring all listed monitoring tasks are being properly addressed. Your coat hangs on the hook, a reminder of the cold Arctic environment as you focus on the indoor radar monitoring duties. You document a standard radar reading in your notebook, while the radio log indicates no emergency communications have occurred. You dim the radar screen slightly to improve visibility and prevent eye strain during the prolonged monitoring shift. You verify the antenna status via the computer, confirming it is operational and transmitting data correctly to the station. The keyboard shows signs of frequent use, with keys for data entry and system adjustments worn from routine operations. You record in the shift log that the current radar check segment is complete, with all data verified and corrections made. Before proceeding, you double-check the radio codes in the log to ensure communication protocols are up to date. You add a task to the station note, recalibrate the radar in 2 hours as part of the routine maintenance schedule. You glance out the window at the falling snow, then refocus on the radar screen to continue the monitoring shift without interruption. You continue the systematic scan of the radar screen, checking each data point for consistency and potential anomalies. Outside, snow continues to fall and accumulate on the station window, blurring the view as you monitor the radar indoors. You open the computer log to compare current radar readings with data from the previous hour, ensuring no discrepancies. You document a slight variation in the radar feed in your notebook, marking it for later review during the shift. You verify the antenna connection status on the screen, confirming it remains stable with no interruptions during monitoring. The radio rests on the table, tuned to the station's communication channel, prepared for potential incoming reports. You log the antenna status and current time in the shift log, updating the record for this monitoring period. You review the weather log to check if current conditions, like snow, are impacting the radar's data accuracy. Your coat sleeve rests on the chair, displaying the station's logo as a symbol of the team's work. You finalize the radar check by confirming all data points are logged and any anomalies are properly noted for review. Now you move to the note-taking phase, documenting all findings from the radar check for the station records. You open the station notepad to start documenting the key radar findings and observations from the check. You transfer notes from your notebook to the station notepad, updating tasks and findings for the team. The keyboard shows where on the data entry keys evidence of the frequent documentation required in station operations. You add a new task to the station note. Check the antenna calibration in 4 hours as per schedule. You verify the radio log to ensure all previous reports are recorded and communication protocols are followed. You compile notes from the station note and radar log to draft the report for submission to the chief. The screen shows the draft report file being saved, with the timestamp indicating the documentation is complete. You review the draft report carefully, checking for any errors or omissions before finalizing it for submission. You save the final report and log the completion time in the shift log, ready for the next step. You check the station note to ensure all tasks like antenna calibration are clearly listed and scheduled. The radio logbook displays entries of past reports, highlighting the routine of station communication protocols. You use the radio to inform the station chief that the note-taking phase is complete and report is ready. The station chief acknowledges your update and confirms the next steps for report submission. The computer screen shows open files with data logs, emphasizing the integrated documentation system. You cross-reference the radar data with a weather log to ensure all environmental factors are noted. You update the weather log with current conditions observed from the radar data for accuracy. Your gloves lie on the table, a reminder of the outside cold contrasted with the indoor work. You compile the physical copies of logs and notes into a folder for archival and easy access. You verify the shift log to record the completion of note-taking activities and time spent. Snow falls steadily outside the station window, a constant backdrop to the routine documentation work. You print a hard copy of the draft report for review and potential annotations by the team. You review the printed report, adding handwritten corrections to ensure all details are accurate. You update the digital report file on the computer with the corrections made on the hard copy. The screen shows the updated report file saving with a new timestamp for the final version. You log the report updates in the radio logbook to maintain a complete record of all communications. You set up the radio for the upcoming report submission, ensuring all communication settings are correct. You do a final review of the station note to confirm that all tasks from the shift are properly documented. The radar screen continues to display data in the background, a reminder of the ongoing monitoring. You save all files and close the notebook, completing the note-taking phase and ready for report submission. You now begin the report submission stage, preparing to transmit findings to the station chief via the radio system. You set the radio to the exact frequency for the station chief, verifying it with a code list to ensure accurate transmission. The radio display confirms the frequency is correctly set, with optimal signal strength for clear communication in the Arctic environment. You initiate contact by pressing the transmit button and preparing to speak into the handset for the report submission. You report the radar data findings, including any anomalies, directly to the station chief through the radio in a structured manner. The antenna transmits your report signal, standing resilient against the cold and snow that characterize the remote Arctic station. You wait patiently for acknowledgement from the station chief, listening intently over the radio static for confirmation of receipt. The station chief acknowledges the report, and you log the confirmation with precise time and code entries in the radio logbook. The logbook page now documents the radio confirmation, adding to the systemic record of all station communications for audit purposes. You update the digital shift log on the computer to indicate successful report submission, ensuring all time logs are accurate and complete. You review the station note to verify that every task, from radar checks to reporting, is properly closed and documented. The screen shows the station note updated with all tasks completed, providing a clear visual summary of the shift's accomplishments. You prepare the shift log for the next team by adding notes on current status and reminders for routine checks ahead. You save all files and close the computer applications, securing the data and shutting down non-essential systems for shift end. The radar screen remains active with data streaming, a constant monitor in the station that operates independently of shift routines. You put on your coat to protect against the cold, signaling the end of your shift and preparation to exit the room. You perform a final visual inspection of the radar room to ensure all equipment is secure and logs are properly stored. The door sign emphasizes restricted access, maintaining security protocols for the critical radar operations within the station. You exit the radar room, closing the door securely to leave the area as you transition to the next part of your routine. You walk down the corridor, completing the report submission shift and moving towards